Alrighty guys, so welcome back to part 3. Now part 2, I asked you to attach all your squares. All sizes should have 5 squares attached right now, okay? You should all have your 5 squares attached and you should be right at the end here. Now, if from memory I asked you not to cut your thread, I did cut, but guess what? I do want you to cut. Not yet, not yet. Once we complete this section. Hello, get the section done first, Mary. All right, so we will take that off and like normal, we will chain whatever you had, chain 2, I think it was, from memory, yes. Slip stitch to join in a tight stitch right there. And pull the loop through like normal, yep. Remove your stitch marker for a second. Pull the loop through. And that, my dears, is the end of that part of crocheting. What we're going to do now, I'll just bring that out a little bit. Hello, she doesn't want to work for me today. Here we go. What we're going to do now is we're going to, firstly what you're going to do is find the right side of your work. Now this is the right side of my work. The very first round you did that's facing you was the right side of your work. And also your tails will be at the back right now, if you still have tails attached. If not, this is the right side. And at this stage, to be fair, it doesn't even matter if it's not the right side. But I do prefer this side, yeah? All right, so get the right side of your work. And what you want to do is, the right side of your work needs to be underneath. So now we're looking at the wrong side of our work, yeah? So what I want you to do is just flip it over a little bit, just a little bit for a second. You want to make these two little fronts meet just for a second, only because I want to show you, in fact, probably the best way to do this is to do it like that. I want to show you where we're going to go for now, right? This is the front, that's the back, yeah. When it's opened up, your fronts are like that, all right? So what we're going to do is do the 2 straps in the front and the 2 straps at the back. Okay, so what you need to do is very simple, very, very simple process. And this is all sizes, by the way. I want all sizes to grab their fronts. Okay, and there's your corner. Yeah. From your corner, count 1, 2, and 3. Pop your stitch marker in there. All sizes do this on one side of the front. Let's do the same on the other. 1, 2, and 3. Yep. And then you grab, yet again, another stitch marker and you go to, try hard to do this so you can see it, the very next corner that you have on your front, all right? Same square, yep. All right, and you just count, whoops, you just count 3 over. So you go 1, 2, 3. Okay. Grab one more stitch marker and you count from that corner there, that's your first corner, count from that corner over. So you go, there's a corner, it's 1, 2, and 3. Pop your stitch markers there. All right, so what we've done here is we've placed our stitch markers for the front of our straps. Okay, we're going to do the back in a minute as well. But notice how the fronts are way too close together. I had planned it so that we could put, and let's just stretch them out a little bit. This is not right, you know, I'm just wanted to show you that we are going to be putting borders here. So it's going to be like a border of say 2 to 3 centimetres. But don't worry about that yet. What I want everyone to do now is to count the spaces they have between their clusters. So let's say with your stitch markers, between their stitch markers, sorry. Let's say 1 stitch marker's here, you count that. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All sizes will have different counts. Focus on your count. Mine is 8, yours might be 6, yours might be 7, 5, it doesn't matter. All right. So what I want all sizes to do now is to remember that number that they counted, divide it in half. If it's an even number, we're going to do that now. For the odd numbers, I'm going to show you what you need to do. All right, so even numbers, all you need to do is open up your piece. That's your first square, that's your second, and that's your third. The line between, or the corner section, the seam line there, between your second and your third is where we're going to count back the amount that we had there. So I had 8, we're going to divide it in half, and I'm going to count back 4. So from that corner I go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now that's for my size. If you've had 6 spaces on there, you need to count back 3. If you have 4 spaces, you need to count back 2. Now if you have an odd amount, you just need to count back the center is where we're going to assume your odd amount is. All right, so let's say you had 5, you say that's your 5th one. I'll try that again. That's your 3rd one. You go 1 and 2 and just pop it on the 2nd one. Yeah, and if that's your center again, you go 1 and 2 and just pop it there. It's not going to make too much of a difference anyways if it's a little bit off, but it will sit perfectly at the end because that's a center, and it doesn't make sense now, but it will make sense later. So if you've got 7, your center one will be here. You go to the 6, right? You count back 3 and 3, and your 7th will be that center one. Again, don't worry too much about it, yeah? All right, so now that we've got that part done, grab your stitch marker and do your count back. Like you did here for your size, I had 8, so I needed to count back half, which is 4. So I'm going to count forward 4 now. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, if I closed my top, this is where my straps will go. Front strap will be there and the back strap will be there. In between here, okay, in between. So that's that, yeah. Now go over to the other side, again, all sizes. There's your first square, your second and your third. This is the center of that, all right? So I want everyone to do the same as what they did here. I'm going to count back 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the same here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, if you were to close your piece there and marry up your stitches from there to there and marry up your stitches from there to there, you will see the little space that we're going to be popping the borders later. All right, so I hope that made sense. If it didn't, please leave a comment in the comment section down below, but it's very simple. You had your 8 spaces here. If it was 8, all you needed to do was make sure you have 8 spaces here, okay? And we're going to talk about that once we start joining. All right, so there you go. Now, forgetting about all the stitch markers, focus on one, okay? Now, just grab one piece before you do anything. The stitch markers, I forgot to mention, should be up the top where there's no tails, okay? If you've got tails up the top, oh, well, don't worry about them. It doesn't matter. There's no major rules. It was just to make it easier for you to work with, yeah? We are going to weave these tails in, but we're going to crochet them in as well. So keep that in mind. Grab your thread, all sizes, and we're going to start on one of the fronts, and we're going to start on the right side of our front where there's no tails at the back, yeah? And if you can't remember, don't worry about it. Again, there's no real rules. Not really, not for this top. Pop your hook in the first stitch marker closest to the front. Remove that stitch marker. And grab your thread and pull the loop through like so. And what I want you to do is chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3. Grab a stitch marker right up the top there. Again, same thing we've been doing all along. The difference is we're just going to pass this tail at the back. We'll weave that in later. Difference is we're not going to be completing our cluster in there. We're going to do a normal cluster in the next space. So do 3 double crochets in the next space. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1. Jump into the next space with a cluster. 1, 2, 3. Chain 1 and so on. All right. What I want you to do is put clusters all the way across. I'm going to pop it on fast, but I want you to pop clusters all the way across. Don't put it in your last space. Just keep putting them all the way across. Get to just before your stitch marker, and I'll meet you there in a moment. Don't forget to chain 1 in between each cluster, and off we go. And 3. All right, and then we have our stitch marker space. Now you don't need to chain 1 here, okay? So no chaining 1, just pop your double crochet in that space like so. Remove your stitch marker. Now if you played your cards right, each space from each stitch marker will be filled up, right? So you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But you'll have 2 less clusters because we've put double crochets in those first and last stitch. Yeah. So what you're going to do is, no, we're not going to chain yet. We're going to turn our work. So turn your work, and you're going to chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. Pop your stitch marker on top of that top chain right there. And in the same space, you're putting 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Chain 1, cluster in the next. Chain 1, and that's what you're doing until you get to your stitch marker, just before your stitch marker. All right, I'm going to pop this on fast and off we go. And 3. Okay, so that is from there to there. We have the space before the stitch marker. We're going to pop 2 double crochets in that space, 1 and 2. And then we're going to pop a double crochet in the top where that stitch marker is, right in the stitch of your stitch marker. It might be a little tight like mine is, so I'm going to take my stitch marker out. Hopefully yours isn't as tight. But we're going to pop 1 double crochet in that chain, and it just won't let me do it, will it? Here we go. There we go. All right. So you're going to turn your work, and we're going to focus on decreasing now for a couple of rows, a few rows, yeah? So first thing we're going to do again is chain up 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Pop your stitch marker in that stitch right there. Well, you know what you're doing. And you're going to jump into the next space with your cluster set of 3 double crochets. 2, 3, chain 1, and do your sets all the way across. I'm going to pop this on fast and off we go. And 3 double crochets there. Don't chain 1, okay? So you're chaining 1 everywhere except at the end you're not chaining 1, okay? So what you want to do is pop a double crochet in in the top of that stitch. Well, it's not going to let me do it. So go ahead and do your double crochet right there in that top stitch. There you go. Like so. All right. So this is where we're going to start our decrease. Stop what you're doing for a moment. You're going to find over the next few rows, this is going to happen. So just flip your work around so that you're not getting all tangled up. Well, it's just a little tip there, but to be fair, I just keep letting it tangle up until I can't move it anymore. That's because it's me. All right, so what you're going to do here, you're going to chain 3. No, you're going to turn your work first and then chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now, ordinarily, once we put our stitch marker in, I'll tell you what we usually do. We usually, and you're going to do it later anyway, pop 2 double crochets in that first space. But because we're decreasing at the moment, it's all sizes, you're going to skip that space, you're going to jump over your 3 double crochets, pop a cluster in there right now of 3 double crochets, like normal. Chain 1, do your clusters across. Get to that last space right there, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next, all right? So I'm going to pop this on fast and off we go. And 3. Right here, no more chaining 1, okay? All we're going to do is double crochet in the top of that stitch right there where we normally do, and remove your stitch marker. Okay, and we've done 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. All sizes have done 4 rows. Before we continue, extra small and small, you are no longer decreasing. What I want you guys to do is this. For everyone, all sizes, turn around and chain your 3 like normal. So all sizes, chain 1, 2, and 3. Pop your stitch marker in there. Okay. Extra small and small, I want you to put 2 double crochets in this space. Medium to 5 extra large, you keep going with us now. All right. So extra small and small, you put 2 double crochets in there, then you chain 1, you jump over to the next space and you fill up that space, all right? But for the rest of us, all we're doing is skipping over this space and placing our next cluster set in the next space of 3 double crochets. Chain 1 and 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, next space, 3 double crochets, 2, 3, chain 1, next space, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, don't chain. Double crochet in the top of that stitch right there, and I've split it again, doing well. All sizes, no, not all sizes, extra small and small, you put 2 double crochets in there and then you put your double crochet on the 3rd stitch. But all other sizes, you need to just pop. Oh, she says a double crochet in there. Nothing's going right. I'm just going to flip my work around here because look at it, it's all twisted. Okay, you guys can continue doing what you're doing, and what we're all doing is turn your work, chain 3. 1, 2, 3, pop your stitch marker in, all sizes. All right, all sizes here, yarn over your hook, skip over, extra small and small, you're skipping over your 2 double crochets that are there, and we're all jumping into the next space with our cluster set. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, 1, 2, 3, chain 1. Some of you will have more spaces than others, okay, so don't stress if you're going further than us. And then just cluster set all the way across until you get before your stitch marker area, okay. And what I want all sizes to do now when they get here is, the piece is falling off the table, sorry guys, is to just skip over your work and do your double crochet. Doesn't want to do it for me. In the top chain, guys. I'm doing well today. I know I'm doing well. All right. So medium to 2 extra large, you guys need to stop here. Okay. And you guys need to stop decreasing. For 3 extra large to 5 extra large, you're going to decrease one more time in a minute. But for everyone else, okay, turn your work, all sizes now, turn your work. My yarn is falling everywhere. Chain 3. 1, 2, 3, stitch marker. Okay. So most sizes will now have that space. Well, I think all sizes will have the space. Everyone does 2 double crochets. I'm sorry, no. Extra small to 2 extra large, you're doing your 2 double crochets in your space. Chain 1 and then just doing your normal sets across. Okay. 3 extra large to 5 extra large, you needed to chain 3 and then jump into the next space. Don't do your 2 double crochets here. Sorry about that. But for all other sizes, you continue along in the pattern all the way across your piece. 2 and 3, chain 1. 4, 3 extra large to 5 extra large, you're jumping straight into that stitch right there. But for everyone else, if you've got a space before the stitch, you put your 2 double crochets in there. And then you do your double crochet in the top chain. All right. Turn your work. I'm going to take one undone and turn it the other way because it keeps twisting on me. All right. Chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so 3 extra large to 5 extra large, you're decreasing one more time and then you stop there. But for the rest of us, we are jumping straight into our next cluster set. Actually, everyone's doing this. They're just jumping into the next space, okay? They're leaving a full cluster set. So all sizes are doing that, all right? So you're doing that all the way across to... and 3, chain 1, and oops, into the space, 1, 2, and 3. All sizes are going to just jump straight into their stitch marker stitch like so, and that's it. Now there will no longer be decreasing, okay? I'm wanting all sizes to work on the last 2 rows over and over again until they reach their size. So how many rows do you need for your size? Okay, everybody needs different amount of rows. So what I want you to do now is look up on the screen there, and that is the amount of rows you will need for your size. All you need to do here, before you do that, all you need to do is continue on the last 2 sets of each row. So for the next row, you're going to be filling up these spaces here. And the row after that, you're going to be skipping the 2 stitches there. So when you fill up these stitches here, you're putting 2 there, 2 there, and you're putting 1 on top of the stitch, and you obviously started with a chain 3, yeah? So it's exactly the same. No more decrease, just working on these 2 rows. And it actually I say 2 rows because if you look at it, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 for me, and then 1, 2, 3 for the second row. The next row will be 1, 2, 3, 4, and the one after that will be 1, 2, 3 for my size all the way up until my size ends, yeah? So calculate what the second last row was and the last row was, and that's what you go between those last 2 rows. All right. In the meantime, have a look up on the screen, check out your sizes for the amount of rows that you need. And once you've completed those rows, meet me back here and we will cast off and work on the back. All right, just for one side only. So go ahead now and do the amount of rows that you need for your size, and they are up on the screen right there now. Meet me back here once you're done and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, when you reach the amount of rows for your size, just simply pull up a loop and give your work a cut. Alright, then you can pull that loop through. Alright, then what I want you to do, sorry if I'm rushing, but I really want you to get you started for the back, yeah? So there's your front. Alright, there's your front, you've just done your front. Go right over to the first stitch marker of your back. Now this is still the right side, yeah? Remove, oh I've just gone through a thread. Remove, oh I've pulled a thread, don't you love it? Remove your stitch marker, like so. Keep it there, you'll need it for a moment. Grab your thread, pop it over the hook, pull the loop through, passing your tail forward again. Just to lock it into place. Chaining 1, 2, and 3, like so. Now it is exactly the same as the back. Pop your stitch marker in there. And I've split it and I don't mind. I'll come back and fix it later. The only difference is we've got this part here. Okay, so let's focus on popping that tail at the back for starters. Let's just focus on starting our cluster sets. So everyone do their cluster sets until they get to the corner. Yeah, so do your 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets. You may already be at your corner in a minute. Just wait for us there. Chain 1, and there's the first corner. All right, so we are going to just put in 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1. Now we're at the center here. All right. Now before I mentioned that you guys need to pop a cluster set in the center, that's not completely right. All I want you to do is to jump all sizes. This is all sizes, no matter whether you have an even number or an odd number, just put your cluster set in the next corner. Right? Don't forget to chain your 1. So you're popping your cluster set into the next corner like that. So what you've got is your 1, 2, 3 jumped over and into the next corner. Some of you will have 2 jump over. Make sure that each corner has a cluster set in it. All right. Chaining 1. Remember to chain 1 in between your clusters. Continue your clusters across. Another one. Okay, if you have come to your stitch marker, this is chain 1 by the way, do 1 double crochet, for us whom have our stitch marker there and we're even, leave your stitch marker there, do 1 double crochet and wait there. For the odd numbers, go into your next space and do a double crochet, just 1 double crochet. All right, like we did before here, all you have to do is do your cluster. Don't chain your 1 after the cluster, just do a double crochet in your next. So 3 double crochets and then a double crochet there. That's all the odd numbers. Even numbers, you stay right here. Once you all get to your double crochet, whether you're here or here, turn your piece like normal. chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and pop your stitch marker in. And you're doing 2 double crochets in there. 1 and 2. This is all sizes, yeah? Chain 1, cluster set in your next space. All right, just rushing this because it's very similar to the front. It's exactly the same as the front. The only difference is we had that little seam line in the middle there. Yeah, that was the only difference. But otherwise, everything is the same. You are jumping into your very next cluster with a cluster of 3 double crochets. I'm sorry, very next space with a cluster. And we've chained 1. See that section there where our join is? You still have a space. You need to jump into that space. 2, 3, chain 1. 1, 2, 3, chain 1. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and when you get to your last space, you are popping a 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and then you are doing your last double crochet in the top of that chain right there, which I've split. So let's do that now, and a double crochet in there somewhere. Right there. Don't you love a double crochet in there somewhere? All right, so what I want you to do is actually check what you have done here. So what I've done here from before, this is what I have for my work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? That's the same as what I had with my front. All right, here, 1, stay in frame, Mary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what you did to your front, you're going to do exactly the same to your back now. The only difference was we had that little seam line there, which was a tiny little bit annoying, but not completely difficult. So the odd people, you will have that extra cluster across, but you lost a cluster in here. Don't worry about it. That was normal. All right, so that's the deal, guys. All you need to do now is, let me pop that there and there, is to, I've left threads and everything attached here. We'll deal with that later, is to repeat for your back the same as, repeat your back the same as what you've done for your front from row 3 onwards. Now I'm going to leave a timestamp here for you all so that you know where row 3 is. But so go back to that time and repeat the rest of this for your back. All right, so it's going to be a duplicate of that, but it's going to be here. All right, so that's all you need to do. Look at the time right there. Go back to this section right here and repeat all of that, the same as what you did for your front. Meet me back here once you're done, and then we will talk about what we're going to do with the rest. All right, head off on your own and do that now, and I'll meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, so what you would have now is the front strap complete and your back strap complete on one side only. Make sure that they are even, that the rows are exactly the same and you haven't, added one or subtracted one. Make sure they're the same. The other thing we need to do now simply is this. We're going to, where is it? Hello, it's over here. It's the back part. We're working on the back part. Yeah, and we're going to complete it. And what you would have ended up with, let's get close. All right, so remove your stitch marker for now. And what you're going to do is pull up a loop. Make the tail long enough, just double it so that you can sew your fronts and backs together. Grab your scissors and here, okay. Remove your thread for now, and you're just going to pull this loop through. Then you're going to grab your sewing needle, and what you really want is a darning needle like that, a real super thick one with a super thick point, yeah? Not because you don't want to pin yourself, but because it's easier to go through the stitches. So what you want to do simply is, this is the right side of our work, you want to turn it in the wrong side, like so, and make sure that the right sides are facing each other. All right, so now, when you look at your piece, I'm sorry about this, let's try that again, it's just too big, yeah? When you look at your piece, it's inside out right now, yeah? Grab your sewing needle with the stitch that you had, you might want to turn it around, only because the sewing needle was on this side. And all you're going to do, let's bring this up nice and close. It's a little dark, sorry guys, I know green is a little dark, but that's St. Paddy's Day for you. You're going into the stitch that you are in, into the opposite stitch. Now being careful, that's your stitch 1, stitch 2, and your chain, tight chain. You might even have your stitch marker attached to it, maybe not, but your tight chain is there. That's the top of the 3rd chain. Pop your sewing needle in and pull it through. And what you're going to do is go through it one more time, because this is the thread that's attached to our stitch. So we're just going to go through it one more time so it's nice and tight. Yeah. Then you're going to go through every stitch that you see on your piece on one side and the stitch on the other, and it's through the whole stitch. Yeah. Pull it through, and there you go. One more time for your 3rd stitch, and your 3rd stitch on the opposite side, like so. Pull it through, and so on. And you're going to do that all the way through. When you get to your chain stitches, you're going through the whole chain stitch. Don't miss it, or it will be very gappy looking. So make sure that you haven't split the yarn like I just did. Make sure you go through the whole chain stitch on one side and the chain stitch on the other. All right, so I'm not going to sit here and let you watch me do this. Well, I am. I'm just going to pop this on fast, and I will meet you when you get right over to our very last stitch with this tail here. Right, I'm on my 2nd last stitch here, 2nd last stitch on the opposite side. Green is a little dark to see, sorry guys. Now remember that top chain 3 right there, and the very last stitch on that side. And when you pull that through, you're going to do it one more time through that stitch like you did with the other end. But what we're going to do with this one is when we pull it through, we're just going to pop our needle through the loop just to give it a bit of a knot right there. And we're going to leave it there. We're doing a border round around it later, and I'm going to weave mine in the border round on this side and that one in the border round on that side. But if you want to weave them in now, you can weave them in across this way before you turn your work in the right way, but I'm not doing that. All right, so now what I'm going to do is turn my work into the right way, like so, and we will do the border round later, all right? Because what you need to do now is what you do to one side, you don't want to be lopsided, you need to do to the other. But the only difference here is, from here you started from here and worked this way, yeah? From this way, you're not starting from here, because then you'll be working on the inside of your work. You're going to start from here, but we're not doing the front first. We're going to do the back. Make sure that with the back, you are on the right side of your work, and I'm showing you the back on purpose, because if you remember the back, we went across here, and for those of you who had odd numbers, I made you miss that center stitch and do the extra one over there. So you moved one over. You're going to do the same here. But what you're going to do here is remove, this is only for the odd stitches, yeah? You're going to move your stitch marker over here, and you're going to start right there. And then you're going to go across. But for everyone else who ended up with an even amount, you pop your hook here. All right, so pop your hook in your stitch marker, stitch like so, grab your thread, and I can't find it, and it's here, hello, and just, once again, pull it through. And I'm just going to do one row, and I'm going to get you started, and you guys are going to do the rest. All right, so you pull up your loop because you've done this before, yeah? You chain, I'm going to get it out now. Chain 1, 2, and 3. That's got to go at the back. Remember, we're working on the right side of our work. And go in and do your clusters of 3 double crochets. This is very exciting, is it not? I believe it is. Chain 1. She's asking herself the questions and answering them herself. Am I going too fast for you? Clusters all the way across. I'm sorry. I am rushing this part because you pretty much know it. Once you get to that seam line area, what did we do? A cluster in the first corner on this side of 3 double crochets. Chain 1 and a cluster in the next corner. All right, so what I have now is the chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is for my size. And then a double crochet in there, and that's 8. Some of you will have a different size, right? So don't think that it's the same for you. So what you have is that, trying to bring that out, but right now you're doing the back strap right there, all right? So I've left a time up there where you need to go and do the rest of your back strap. All right, head off on your own, do this piece right there. Meet you back here once you're done, and then we will talk about the front. Go ahead and do that now, and I'll meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, how did you go? Remember, you should have the same amount of rows as you had with your other fronts and back, the other front and back that you did. And then all you're doing is pulling up a loop. You can leave a long tail on this one or a long tail on the other one. It doesn't matter. Either way, it doesn't matter. What you want to do now is, that's your back. You want to go right over to the front. Attach your green. So grabbing your hook. Remember, this is on at the opposite side of the one we just did before. So we're not going to start from here. We're going to start from here. This is the right side of our work. Pop your hook in there, all sizes, all right, in the stitch where you put your stitch marker. Okay, so grab your thread and pop it over your hook. By the way, if you lost your stitch marker, it's just 1, 2, and 3 across, all right? So hook in, pull the loop through. Now you pretty much know what you're doing here, but I'm going to give you a quick rough one. Oops, let's tighten that up a little. 2 and 3, a quick rough update. She says as she's losing all her stitches, let's try this white one. It's nice and bright, hey? It's nice and bright, don't you love it? We've got stitch markers everywhere. All right, so once again, what are we all doing? Exactly the same. Drop that tail at the back for a minute. We are double crochet 3 in your next space, as you would any other space. Chain 1 and 3 into the next. You know this part. Three, and then we have our stitch marker stitch right there. What are we going to do? 1 double crochet only in that stitch. All right, so make sure that you have filled in your stitch marker from stitch marker. Remember, before I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I still need to have 8. You still need to have this many. All right, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to turn our work like we did in the previous section. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to fill up this space just for this row. Oh, I forgot to put my stitch marker in. Well, excuse me. And I've lost my white one. Oh, no, I've got the white one over there. Let's try the blue one. It's just a bit indecisive, guys. Oh, dropping everything. Hello. Don't worry about it. Let's just keep going. No editing. Let's just keep going. You can see all my faults today. I'm feeling free. No, I'm not. Don't forget to chain your one, guys. And then just continue as you would any other section. I don't think I need to show you any more. I don't think. All right, let me finish off this last one and the chain one so I don't forget for later. I'm going to pop a stitch marker in there so I don't lose my thread, as you do. Another little tip that I do often during tutorials. So your job now, simple, simple, simple. Repeat the amount of rows you need here that you did on the back. And not just on the back, on the other side. So make sure they are exactly the same size. All right, so head off on your own, complete the front strap the same way you've done the others, and I'll meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, so now you've got one side already sewn up. The other side is complete but not sewn up, and it doesn't matter which thread you use to sew up the top bit. Don't forget to turn your work inside out. Now I got a few threads attached because I was playing yarn chicken and lost, as you do. As you do, yeah. Okay, so turn your work inside out. So the inside is the right side and the outside is the wrong side. Grab one of these threads, and it doesn't matter which one. Now my front isn't long enough, so I'm going to use the back one, but you can use the front one. It doesn't matter. Whichever thread is the longest for you. So mine is the back, so I'm going to use the back. All right, so it doesn't matter either way. As long as you're sewing it inside out, right? You're inside out at the moment. If I can get this threaded, we can work. All right, so let me move all this out the way. And we are once again, you know how to do this because you've done it on the other side, but I'll show you real briefly and then I'll pop it on fast. Just in that first stitch on this side and the top chain on the other side. Don't forget you've got your 2 double crochets here, but you still need to get into that top chain. We do it once and we do it twice, only because it needs a little bit more strength there, a little bit more security. Yeah. And then all you're doing is just that, going into 1 stitch on one side and 1 stitch on the other, like so. And we're losing our thread there. All right, and that's very, very simple. The third one and the third one. Second last stitch and the second last stitch, and the very last stitch has a tail here as well. So you're going into, and you've got to try and find that chain and the stitch there. Guess what? You're going to do that last stitch one more time. I'm trying to make it with my thread. Can you believe it? One more time. All right, so what I want you to do here is, I forgot to pull that thread through properly. Doesn't matter. I forgot to pull it through with the loop like we did before, but in the meantime, just as long as you can weave this tail in, it won't come undone. And we are crocheting over that section anyways, So don't stress too much about it. And if it's really bothering you, in fact, you need to probably do that. Grab that thread and bring it down just to get rid of the knot. But I'm going to leave it because once we crochet over it with our single crochet round later, that won't be noticed. Okay, and I'm using the wrong needle to sew this in. It's better to, when you're weaving it in, to use a thinner needle. All right, you can do it a bit more if you like. I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it there. Okay, and then let's bring this out. All right, what we want to do is turn this back into the right way. And the hardest part, I think, of your piece is done. We still need to do a bit more, so don't think that's the end of it. All right, what we need to do, how gorgeous is that? I cannot wait to wear it, so excited. Okay, what we do need to do is do the fronts. Now, if you were to place your straps opposite each other, you will see, and this is how I created this on purpose, that you do have a 2-finger, 2.5 centimetre, 3 centimetre space. If you stretch it, your space gets bigger, but don't stretch it. Don't stretch it, yeah? All right, so what we're going to do now, to stop that space from being bigger, we're going to fill it up with single crochets so that we can have a section for buttonholes and a section for buttons. So what we're going to do now, you decide whether you want your buttons on your left or your right. If you are a fella, your buttons go on your right. If you are a lady, your buttons go on your left. I'm making this for me, so my buttons will go on my left front. This is now the right side of the work, and that's the inside of our top, right? This is my left front. If I'm wearing this now, I'm wearing it like this from my top shoulders down. So that's my left front. And what I want to do is pop a hook, your hook, the normal hook, in the corner of your left front. All right? Or the ladies there. Or the fellas, you pop your hook on the right front. In the meantime, this is what I want you to do. Easy, easy. Grab your thread. Pop it over your hook. Let's have a look, see. Here we go. Pop it over your hook, pull the loop through, and just passing your tail forward a minute because we're going to lock it into place with a chain 1 and a single crochet. Let's try this again. Yep. Pop your hook in the space, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both those loops, grab your stitch marker. If I can find it, I keep falling off the table there. All right, so grab your stitch marker and pop it in there. Easy. Now this tail, I'm going to crochet over it, but it's not necessary. Move it over, don't miss any stitches. You want to do a single crochet in that stitch, the very first stitch, right there, crocheting over my tail. Single into your second stitch, crocheting over my tail, single into your third, and then you have your chains. Now, you could either single in the chains. I think at this particular piece, it's better to single around the chains, okay? So you just pop in your hook in the space, pull a loop through. I'm not crocheting over the tail anymore, leaving it at the back, yeah? Yarn over your hook, pull through both those loops. Now, single into your very next stitch, 1, 2, and 3. Single in the space. Stitch, make sure you get into that first stitch, 1, into the next 2, and the next 3, space. All right, so 3 singles and 1 over the space. 3 singles, 1 over the space. Simple, simple, simple. So I'm going to pop this on fast until we get to the corner. Two and and 3 of the last cluster. And in the corner, we're just doing 1. I'm going to crochet over the tail. So popping the tail way at the back, just holding it for a second while we do our single crochet over it. Yep. Chain 1. And that's what you've done so far. Yep. Flip your work, or turn your work if you will. All right. And then, where is it? That's the tail, you don't want that. And then we are going to, in the top of that stitch, the very last stitch we did, we're going to pop a single crochet. Now that is the chain, so don't confuse it. You go into that stitch, you'll see it. Yeah. Pull a loop through, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, grab your next stitch marker like so. And there you go. All right. Now, easy row, single in every stitch you come to. Simply easy. There we go. In the stitch. Yep. In the stitch. And so on. All right. So I'm not going to let you sit here and watch me do this one. I would like for you to do a single crochet into every stitch. Get to this stitch marker right here. Meet me there once you're done, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, so here we are at the end of this row, and I have a second last stitch right there, and the last stitch is the one with our stitch marker in it. Place a single crochet in there. All right, so everyone will have a different count across, but don't stress too much about it. Just make sure that every stitch has a single crochet. Now, I'm turning my work over and over again, so it's getting tangled. But what I want you to do now, I don't think you need to see anymore, because we need 5 rows of single crochet. There will be a 6th row, and that will be the full border round row later, which we will talk about later. All right, so 5 rows of single crochet. We've done 2 already. Now you need to do another 3 more rows. So repeat the row that we just did 3 more times. Meet me back here once you're done, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. All right, so just repeat this row 3 more times. Meet me back here this time tomorrow, and we will complete our granny square crop top. Very exciting. All right, thank you very much for joining us here today at part 3 for our granny square crop top. Don't forget to join us on our lives at 4 p.m. Wednesday afternoons, 10 a.m. Saturday mornings, Melbourne, Australia time. My name is Mary, and this is Wow Crochet Designs. Ciao for now.